Welcome to ScoreCraft, Duskwood. The world of Azeroth is well known for its high fantasy and exhilarating escapism, but for every sun-soaked vista, there lies in the distance a dark, foreboding shadow, a broken mirror image that beckons with a macabre allure. Us adventurers and heroes might well feel more at rest in a warm and welcoming inn, or within the solace of the Cathedral of Light, but truly, we all find our home deep within the darkness beyond the campfire's light. No valor is won in leisure, and no glory goes to the faint of heart. Thus do all us veterans of Warcraft relish the feeling of dread, fear, and excitement that creeps up the backs of our necks as we venture from the safety of home out into the shadowy dark. Many of us took our first faltering footsteps into Azeroth in the bountiful fields of Elwyn, but not so far away lies an altogether more troubled sister. A twisted and agonized image of what might have once been a rival to the beauty of Elwyn. This clouded jewel is known to us now as Duskwood. Duskwood is a foul, light-forsaken and mist-begotten blight upon the kingdom of Stormwind. The capital's corrupted nobles have withdrawn their support of the province and left their rural subjects to fend for themselves against the horrors that now lurk within the woods. Most fittingly, the corruption of the Stormwind nobility nearly meets its match in the corruption of Duskwood, but this wasn't always the case. Duskwood was once known as the Brightwood, the rich and temperate breadbasket of a greater Elwyn forest. Its close proximity to the jungle of Stranglethorn gave it the warmth to harbour great harvests. But now, it has been long since the baleful winds that whip through the Deepwind Gorge scoured the land with their clawing chill. Cold like old bone, the fields of Duskwood now lie dormant and untilled, occupied by many shades of dangerous inhabitants, from the mere defier scoundrel to horrors of tooth, claw, and fetid flesh. The first theme rises from the cold, sodden ground like a frigid cloud of fog, hanging thick in the air and filling your lungs with the taste of death. The underscore here is a low pedal note, and it doesn't come from an identifiable instrument, instead playing uninterruptedly, without a care for the limitations of a real instrument. It embodies the unnatural extension of all things in Duskwood. Everything here persists somehow in a state of perpetual decay, forever degrading and withering away. But in the damp, lifeless earth, they remain, rotted vestiges of a better time. Along with the bass, we hear the whistling of winds issuing forth from Deepwind Gorge and bathing the land in their deathly chill. Symbolizing the jolts of fear that might strike the hearts of young adventurers here, we hear the sound of plucked or pizzicato violins playing clashing minor seconds, the smallest interval between two notes. The closeness of these two notes creates a strange, quivering sound due to how their two wavelengths overlap one another. The composers ingeniously used this quirk of physics to create an unnatural and fittingly unsettling sound for Duskwood's score. Then we hear the harp, an instrument of great beauty and elegance, play a glissando, which is a gliding from one pitch to another, here beginning with the finger dragged up from the strings of the harp from lowest to highest, but transitioning halfway from using the flesh of the finger to using the nail. This instantly creates a much thinner and colder quality of sound, and this happens so quickly, but it encapsulates the story of Duskwood so perfectly. An otherwise beautiful instrument, played in an unnatural and crude way. Yet another example of our composer's deep understanding of music, and how they can create connections in the minds of us players without us even noticing. Throughout the Duskwood music, we hear a melodic motif where instruments oscillate between two notes right next to each other. This is a musical pattern that we're primed to associate with unease and danger, not just because of the inevitable clashing of the notes, but also because of this technique's wide use in other musics. So, for example, the Jaws soundtrack, which triggers associations in our mind and helps set the scene for us players and make sure we never feel too comfortable walking in these woods. This short passage is concluded with a haunting moan from what might have once been a wind instrument. Its long, mournful wail rises from the mists, an anguished soul crying out in pain and hopelessness at the misery of its fate. It hangs in the air above us, conjuring images of spirits long tormented and chained to this land, denied the release of death that all creatures deserve. Its lingering cry strikes fear in our hearts, though, in truth, the fear comes in no small part from the bewitching quality of this siren call. Perhaps, after all, it might be some twisted sort of release to stalk these fields as a mindless corpse, free of all worries and cares, and wrapped in that cold, timeless embrace. With the next theme, we rouse ourselves from the madness that so soon consumes those lost in the woods. This next theme has a lone clarinet on a low register melody. Rising up in a questioning intonation, leading into a prominent tag melody from the piano. This melody is the most clear and definable melodic material in all of Duskwood's soundtrack and is instantly identifiable with the humans of Darkshire. The piano in this music is meant to symbolize the humans that still call Duskwood home, because the beginning of this motif is taken directly from the music of Elwyn Forest, now transformed for this forlorn and uncertain setting, as you can hear here. The Duskwood melody itself rises up in a hesitant way, then twists back on itself, falling down in two faltering steps to the C on which it began. These first four notes are exactly the same pattern in the two motifs, just with the Duskwood one being one tone lower in pitch. The subtle use of this fragment of the Elwyn theme is another stroke of genius that orally tells and reflects the story of the game in a way that players might not consciously recognise, but will instinctively understand. The clarinet then leads us into a variation of the Duskwood piano motif in D-flat minor, which is the most unsettling harmonic choice, as we finish the previous version of that motif on C, just one semitone away. This motif's uncertain rising up only to fall down, and the call and response aspect of its different repetitions, embodies the lives of the Night's Watchmen, afraid and wary of that which lurks in the woods, finding solace only in the solidarity and kinship of their comrades in arms. The final theme opens with the sound of a nail dragged across the strings on a piano, a violation of that musical symbol of humanity, which gives way to a dysfunctional duet of plucked violins, aimless and without clarity or intention to their playing, shambling around in a meaningless dance, much like the shuffling footsteps of mindless undead, plodding to and fro, senselessly searching for the living, driven only by their wordless hunger. With yet another swipe across the piano strings, this soundtrack is drawn to a close by irregular drum beats over a faint reappearance of the haunting moans from earlier. Above all of this is a plucked pattern on the harp, which is a subtle reimagining of the Jaws-like motif that we hear throughout Duskwood. Its delicate and soft playing reflecting the tentative footsteps of new adventurers venturing out to tackle the evils of this forest, careful with each step and always watching their backs. Yet there's little hope for most who dare to leave the lamplit path, as many foul and fearsome creatures lie lurking in the darkness, watching over them like the spectre of death. Before long, our adventurer is cut down by the long claws of some shadowy figure. His rich, warm blood pools in the damp earth as a puddle of ochre mud, and his hair is tossed about in the winds that whip across the ground. We've heard them gusting in the background throughout this soundtrack, ever blowing their baleful gale, and now we see why. These winds symbolize the cold embrace of death that has gripped Duskwood, for this fresh-faced hero's fresh corpse is chilled to the bone in an instant, and those that still breathe ever feel the warmth of their life's blood sapped away by the ever-blowing breezes. the icy breath of the Reaper himself. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video and that you might be able to enjoy this music more deeply the next time you hear it. If you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and share the video with any friends that might also enjoy it. These videos take an awful lot of work to make, so I really appreciate any help you can give me to help spread them with more Warcraft enthusiasts. I'd love to hear your feedback, so get in touch with me on my Discord server, linked in the description, or in the comments below. Have a lovely day everyone, and stay chim.